Most people will never be rich, not because the path to wealth is hidden, but because it is brutally simple, and simplicity frightens them. They want to believe that wealth comes from luck, from miracles, or from some secret formula known only to a few. In truth, the principles are obvious, eternal, and unchanging. Money follows power, boldness, and perception, qualities Machiavelli dissected centuries ago when he wrote not of finance, but of rule. He knew that men wait for certainty, but certainty never arrives. He knew that the crowd is ruled not by truth, but by appearances. He knew that fortune belongs not to the cautious, but to the daring who seize opportunities before others even recognize them. Wealth is nothing more than applied power, and power has always obeyed the same cold laws. If you understand this, the fog clears. Getting rich is not about brilliance, fairness, or waiting for approval. It is about acting with precision while others hesitate, and taking what they are too afraid to claim. The question is not whether wealth is possible. The question is whether you are willing to embrace the brutal simplicity of the game. 1. Wealth rewards bold action, not endless planning. Machiavelli observed with ruthless clarity that fortune favors the bold, not the hesitant, and this truth has never changed. Those who wait for the perfect conditions before they act are doomed to wait forever, because perfection is an illusion. The man who insists on every detail being in place before he moves guarantees that he will never move at all. Wealth does not come to the man buried in theories, certifications, or polished business plans. It comes to the one who dares to step forward while the ground is still uncertain. The bold man enters the arena when others are still watching from the sidelines. He launches the business before he has every answer. He invests while others are still whispering about risk. He tests reality directly, while the cautious only theorize about it. The marketplace does not reward hesitation. It punishes it. Opportunities are fleeting, often disguised as problems and only visible to those willing to act. The timid man consoles himself with preparation, with education, with the fantasy that one day, when the stars align, he will finally be ready. But this day never comes, and his energy is consumed by endless rehearsals for a performance he never dares to give. Meanwhile, the bold man, who may not be the smartest or the most prepared, begins to build. He learns by failing forward, and in doing so, he quickly outpaces the man who thought too long. This is the brutal simplicity of wealth. It does not flow to the cautious thinker, but to the decisive mover. The bold man may stumble, but he owns ground that the fearful never claimed, and once he claims it, it belongs to him. In the contest for wealth, it is not the sharpest intellect that wins. It is the one who strikes first, adapts fastest, and refuses to wait for permission.
2. Power creates wealth, not the other way around. Machiavelli understood that money by itself is fragile, mere numbers that can vanish with a law, a scandal, or a storm. What truly endures is power, the ability to influence decisions, to command loyalty, and to shape the environment around you. Wealth flows to those who control the levers of society, not to those who simply hold coins in their pockets. A man with authority can summon capital even when he begins with nothing, because his position forces others to invest in him, follow him, or serve his interests. But a man with only money, who has no power to protect it, is like prey carrying meat in the wilderness. His wealth only makes him a target. The modern world proves this every day. The wealthiest individuals, the founders of vast companies, did not begin by chasing dollars directly. They began by seizing influence. They positioned themselves in industries that shaped the future. They bent markets to their will, and money naturally followed. The mistake of the average man is that he treats money as the goal instead of the byproduct. He works tirelessly for a paycheck, saving scraps, hoping that accumulation will somehow bring freedom. But scraps never turn into empires. Machiavelli would remind us that true wealth is born from leverage, control over people, systems, or resources. When you have the ability to direct others, to make decisions that ripple through markets, you can multiply wealth without touching it yourself. Power is the seed, money is the fruit, and while fruit can rot, the tree endures as long as the roots are deep. Those who wish to be rich must stop asking, "How can I make more money?" and instead ask, "How can I place myself where money must flow to me?" The difference is everything. One path leads to labor and frustration, the other to command and abundance. 3. Most people stay poor because they fear being hated. Machiavelli declared that it is safer to be feared than loved, because love is fickle, while fear commands respect. This same law governs wealth. Most people remain poor not because they lack talent or opportunity, but because they cannot stomach the disapproval that comes with protecting and pursuing their own interests. To become rich is to make choices others will resent. You will undercut competitors, you will refuse handouts, you will decline offers that waste your time, and you will put your ambitions above the comfort of others. For this, you will be called greedy, arrogant, selfish, and ruthless. And it is precisely here where the weak falter. They cannot bear being misunderstood, so they shrink back into mediocrity. They would rather be liked and broke than disliked and wealthy. Machiavelli would sneer at such weakness, for he knew that no man rises without creating enemies, and no man holds wealth without attracting envy.
The wealthy understand this trade. They accept that criticism and hatred are the background noise of success. They are not disturbed when old friends grow bitter or when strangers whisper against them. They know that resentment is proof they are moving forward. The poor, on the other hand, are paralyzed by the need for approval. They seek validation at every turn, needing others to agree with their plans before they dare to act. But in seeking universal approval, they strip themselves of boldness and independence. Machiavelli would remind us that to live dependent on the opinions of others is to live as their servant. The path to wealth demands a thicker skin, the ability to hear insults without bending, the willingness to let others hate you while you advance. Poverty is the reward of the agreeable man. Fortune belongs to the one who is willing to walk through disapproval with his head held high. 4. Appearances matter more than reality. Machiavelli warned that men judge far more by what they see than by what is true, and that few are capable of piercing beyond appearances. Wealth obeys this exact law. You do not need to be rich to attract opportunities. You only need to look, sound, and carry yourself as if you already belong to the wealthy. Human beings are drawn to symbols of power. They instinctively follow those who appear confident, established, and capable. This is why empires are often built on image long before money ever enters the picture. A sharp reputation, a display of competence, a brand that communicates strength. These open doors faster than any amount of hidden capital. Those who understand this truth craft an aura of prosperity that convinces others to invest in them, partner with them, and place their trust in them. The irony is brutal. Reality bends to perception. The man who projects success attracts the very resources needed to make that projection real. The poor man, however, clings to the illusion of fairness. He believes the world should recognize his inner worth, his effort, his hidden talents. He waits to be noticed, insisting that substance alone should carry him forward. But the world does not reward what is hidden. It rewards what is displayed. Appearances are the battlefield, and those who master them write their own fortunes. This is not deceit, but strategy. Every wealthy man has, at some point, used perception as his first currency, whether through branding, influence, or the careful shaping of his reputation. Machiavelli would say that it is not enough to be capable. You must be seen as capable. For the crowd cannot measure truth, but they can recognize a symbol. Those who refuse to play this game remain invisible, ignored, and poor, while those who embrace it find that money and power flow to those who dare to look the part. 5. Fortune punishes the indecisive. Machiavelli compared fortune to a raging river. When it surges, it sweeps away those who hesitate, but the bold can redirect its current to their advantage. Wealth operates by the same law. Opportunities rarely arrive neatly packaged or perfectly timed. They appear suddenly, often disguised as risks, crises, or incomplete chances. The man who hesitates, who waits for more information, more safety, or more reassurance, finds that by the time he is ready, the moment is already gone. Indecision is not harmless. It is a silent executioner.
It kills possibility, drains momentum, and guarantees mediocrity. The world does not wait for the cautious. It rewards those who act before certainty exists. The bold investor, the daring entrepreneur, the relentless mover, they seize ground while others are still weighing options. By the time the timid have convinced themselves it is safe, the bold have already taken the prize and closed the gates behind them. The poor man comforts himself by believing that patience will one day deliver him fortune. He repeats the mantra that timing is everything, without realizing that hesitation is the true enemy of timing. He thinks caution protects him, but in reality, it only ensures that others will strike first. The wealthy understand this brutal truth. Fortune loves speed. It does not care for endless deliberation, nor does it wait for the fearful to build confidence. The man who moves quickly, even imperfectly, learns faster, adapts sooner, and gains experience that the indecisive never will. Machiavelli would say that to delay is to surrender power to the currents of fortune, while to act is to harness them. Wealth does not reward the man who is right all the time. It rewards the one who dares when others doubt. The hesitant watch, the bold build, and history forgets those who waited too long to begin. 6. Money flows to those who exploit human nature. Machiavelli's brilliance lay in his unflinching honesty about human beings. He stripped away illusions and saw men for what they really are, driven by fear, vanity, desire, and self-interest. He advised rulers to master these impulses, for to understand human nature is to govern it. Wealth follows the same law. Money is not moved by mathematics alone. It flows to those who can manipulate the strings of human psychology. The richest men are rarely those with the best products or the most noble intentions. Instead, they are the ones who understand how to sell not just an item, but a feeling. Status to the vain, convenience to the lazy, safety to the fearful, and pleasure to the restless. They do not simply meet needs, they amplify desires, turning wants into obsessions and choices into compulsions. This is the brutal simplicity of money. It is never about the thing itself. It is about the human impulse attached to it. The poor man, however, refuses to see this. He believes money is about labor, about effort, about fairness. He works harder, but he never studies the real game, the psychology of those who spend. He believes the world is rational, when in truth it is emotional.
He assumes that merit will bring him wealth, but merit alone has never ruled markets. Those who become rich know that the crowd is predictable, that people can be persuaded, distracted, and guided. They know that humans buy stories more than objects, symbols more than substance. This is not cynicism, it is power. Machiavelli would remind us that the ruler who ignores human nature loses his throne, and the entrepreneur who ignores human nature loses his fortune. Wealth is not captured through logic. It is seized by mastering the eternal weaknesses of men. And those who learn to exploit these weaknesses will never be poor.
7. Getting rich is simple. Staying rich requires ruthlessness. Machiavelli warned that gaining power is only half the battle. The greater challenge is keeping it. Once you rise, others will envy you, resent you, and plot against you. Wealth is no different. Making money, as brutal as it may seem, is often simpler than defending it. The moment you acquire resources, you become a target. Governments circle with taxes, competitors launch attacks, parasites appear disguised as friends, and even family members come with open hands, expecting to share in your fortune. The naive rich crumble under this pressure. They cannot say no, they cannot cut ties, they cannot separate sentiment from survival. And so their wealth drains away, not from the market itself, but from their inability to defend what they built. They rise once only to fall back into obscurity because they mistook generosity for strategy and kindness for security. The true Machiavellian understands that wealth must be guarded as fiercely as it was earned. Contracts, legal shields, reinvestments, and alliances are not luxuries, they are necessities. The wealthy man must learn the art of refusal, of erecting walls between himself and the endless demands of others. To keep wealth, you must embrace discipline that feels cold to those who do not understand the stakes. Money attracts vultures. Only vigilance keeps them away. This is why fortunes are often built in one generation and lost in the next. The heirs have not tasted the struggle of acquisition, and so they lack the ruthlessness to defend it. Machiavelli would say that it is not cruelty to protect your throne, it is survival. Getting rich demands boldness, but staying rich demands a sharpened blade. Fortune favors the daring, but it continues to serve only the ruthless. At the heart of Machiavelli's philosophy lies a truth that most people refuse to face. The world does not reward hesitation, weakness, or wishful thinking. It rewards boldness, cunning, and the ability to see men as they are, not as they pretend to be. The same truth governs wealth. Riches are not a mystery, nor are they reserved for the lucky. They belong to those who dare when others doubt, who project strength when others hide, who protect what they build with the same ruthlessness they use to gain it. The poor man looks at wealth and imagines complexity. He blames fate, unfairness, or hidden secrets. But the reality is simple. Fortune is seized by the bold, multiplied by power, defended by ruthlessness, and fed by human nature itself. The reason most remain poor is not because the game is too hard, but because they are too soft to play it. Machiavelli would remind us that wealth, like power, is never given, it is taken. And the brutal truth is this: if you have the courage to act, the strength to withstand envy, and the will to protect what is yours, fortune will bend to you. If you do not, it will crush you.